Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Today, we'll be talking about cultural intelligence, or CQ, and why it's such an important skill for us as educators. Our focus will be on understanding cultural identity, both our own and our students, and how we can use that awareness to strengthen equity, engagement, and trust within our school communities. I'm Joseph Machete. I'll be running the presentation today. All right. So, a little quick introduction here. This slide's titled Building Cultural Intelligence, and this is kind of our key focuses throughout the presentation today. Cultural intelligence, or CQ, is our ability to work and relate effectively across cultural differences. In schools, this is crucial because every student brings unique cultural capital, their background, traditions, experiences that shape how they learn. Too often, schools have learned and leaned on a colorblind approach where differences are ignored, but being color brave means we acknowledge and celebrate these differences as strengths. Our goal today is to think about how we can build a culture that is inclusive, equitable, and resilient. Right. This just gives us a nice breakdown here of what cultural intelligence is, why it matters for our students, challenges that we have to face when we talk about cultural intelligence, which includes our biases, being colorblind versus color brave, and establishing a goal, which is building trust, equity, and resilience. Okay, so when I think about my own CQ or cultural, you'll hear me refer to um, cultural intelligence as CQ a lot. Think of it as similar to IQ. Um, when we talk about CQ, specifically my own, I see myself within this realm as a global navigator, someone motivated to engage with cultural differences and who is learning along the way, right? I'm no expert. We'll get into my own biases in a moment here. But first, my strengths are within the realm of what's called CQ drive. I'm motivated to connect across cultures. I have some growing knowledge of cultural differences, but I also recognize my challenges, such as planning ahead for cultural dynamics and adapting communication in the moment when communicating with families or students who come from different cultures, speak different languages, different religious backgrounds, and ethnic backgrounds. My goal is to move towards becoming what's referred to as a cultural maestro. Now, cultural maestro has that like kind of grandiose name to it. Essentially, what that would mean is not just navigating cultural differences, but orchestrating them in a way that empowers students, families, and colleagues. That's the growth mindset that we can all embrace together. And that's certainly what we'll be diving into a little bit later here. Um, all right. This just kind of outlines my plan for personal growth, engage in reflective journaling to uncover biases. Um, these are all various different strategies that I could use to help get myself to that cultural maestro level. Long term, I want to model these practices and mentor others. So culturally responsive work becomes a part of the culture for our entire school, not just us, not just within our students, but everybody. All right. So let's walk through a short activity. This activity is called Identity Maps and Cultural Bridges. Each of us has multiple identities, right? We are not all just educators. We all come from various races, family roles, language, hobbies, faith, etc., right? There's a ton more. In this activity, participants, such as you, are going to create a simple map of these identities, then share that map with a partner. One aspect that feels central and one that often feels overlooked will be the primary component to sharing out. Um, the group then reflects on how identities shape the way we show up at school or work, right? So from the student lens or from the educator lens. The purpose of this, okay, is to build more empathy, reduce stereotypes, remind us that our students bring these same complex identities into the classroom every day. Recognizing and affirming these identities is at the heart of cultural intelligence. This will help build a foundation for your classroom. This will help establish a caring, empathetic relationship with students within your room, and then in turn will help you build those relationships, develop positive relationships, and have a strong classroom management. Okay, so within all of this, okay, what we're going to look for, all right, is the following. Okay, so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what this activity entails. So just bear with me here. All right, so now we're going to shift into the experiential activity, the identity maps and cultural bridges. What you'll need, okay, you will need a blank sheet of paper, possibly some colored pencils if you prefer that, but you will need something to write with as well. So feel free to pause the video, gather your supplies, and then come back. Okay. Now, take a blank sheet of paper, draw a circle in the middle of the piece of paper, in the middle of the circle, with your name. Around that circle, draw at least 5 smaller circles, each representing an aspect of your identity. Examples could include race, ethnicity, gender, language, family roles, faith, hobbies, career roles. The list goes on and on and on. Something that you feel is important in terms of your identity. Don't overthink it. This is your personal reflection. Take 2 minutes to fill in your circles. Feel free to pause the video and return back once your circles are all filled in. All right. Now that all your circles are filled in, now turn to the person next to you within your group. Each of you will share 2 things. The first thing you will share, one part of your identity that feels central to who you are. One part of your identity that you feel is often overlooked or misunderstood by others. Okay, so take some time. You'll each have about a minute to share. While listening, focus on understanding and empathy. No judgment, debate, just simply listening. Okay. All right, let's come back together as a whole group here. I'd like a few volunteers to share some insights, not necessarily what your partner said, but what it felt like to reflect on your own identity and to hear someone else's identity shared out. So take some time within your larger groups and discuss this. Did anything surprise you? Did you notice similarities with your partner? How might you recognizing overlooked aspects of identity impact the way that we connect with our students and colleagues? All right, and wrapping this up here. So, as educators, we know that students carry the same kinds of identity maps into school every day. Some parts are celebrated, while others, bear with me here for a moment, okay? While others, where was I? Okay. Some parts are celebrated, while others might be invisible or misunderstood. When we practice being color brave, we create space for students to bring their full selves into the classroom. That's where trust, engagement, and true equity begin. Okay. To close, take 30 seconds to jot down one action step you can take to be more intentional about honoring your identity in your role. This might be incorporating student voice into lessons, checking in with a student whose story you may not fully know, or reflecting more deeply on your own biases. Thank you for engaging in this activity. By building awareness of our own identities and respecting those of others, we strengthen our ability to serve as students with empathy and cultural intelligence. These are some various references. Feel free to use those to dive deeper. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out.